Hello everyone, Mobius1 here, bringing you some big SWGEmu news. Before I get started, I need to make a few things very clear. Firstly, many of you know this, but in case you don't, I am not a member of the SWGEmu Project staff. While I do chat with a handful of staff members in-game and through Discord, I myself am not among them. So understand that any information about the project shared in my videos is coming from me and is not an official word from them. Unless, of course, I'm showing quotes from staff forum posts, which in this video I will be doing. Secondly, some of you out there are probably going to get a little upset at this news. I encourage you to not only keep an open mind and try to see the positives that will come with this, but also not to take out any frustration you might feel on the project staff. It's important to remember that everyone that works on this project is a volunteer with real life, job, and family of their own. They're not paid to work on this emulator and choose to do it out of their love for the game and community. But with that out of the way, alright, this is a big one. On August 26, 2019, a forum thread simply titled JTL was started in the development discussion section of the official SWGEmu forums. The thread asked the question that's been asked countless times before. The question has become so infamous that it was even the main focus of my April Fool's video earlier this year. The question: is JTL coming soon? Now, normally this question is responded to with some forum regulars, such as Vlada here, trolling the asker, or a reminder to search the forums for existing threads before starting new ones. But a few days later, on August 30th, project staff member Lord Cater actually responded with a bit more details than you'd usually see. He says, the JTL issue is, it was written by a totally different team, and the mechanics of the engine and the way gameplay worked was completely different than the ground game. Unless someone who is passionate and very skilled in tick-based 3D space games steps up to work on it, then we'll be waiting for JTL until the end of time. Sorry, that is the brutal truth. Staff member Miztah chimed in and said there's been a fair amount of JTL work done, but it's largely stuff like ships and many of the various portions that interact with the client. It's pretty functional as a single-player space crafting game with flying and no enemies. The back end that actually handles large-scale multiplayer movement / projectiles, etc. in a 3D space environment is the mountain of a hurdle that has to be resolved. Lallander says, so there you have it guys, the cat's out of the bag, no JTL, unless we get someone with the right skills for the coding. Lord Cater came back in later and says, the right skills and the passion to reverse engineer a 15-year-old game. It's not like our team couldn't take it on, just a massive effort and would require dedicated time that would take away from efforts to get pre-CU done. Then a little later, forum user Rex Racer asked the question, is it likely that you will go to Sun Crusher without JTL? Responding to him, Vlada says, not just likely, but we are at this point 101% sure that that will be the case. Lord Cater did come back a little bit later today with a little bit more detail. Says we did a lot of investigation. I don't want people to think we just threw our hands up. A couple of devs, I won't name names, beat their brains out on it for months and made some progress here and there. But as we started to dig in deeper, some of these things really smashed our hopes and dreams. Number one, JTL is a space game. The ground game is not really 3D, so we need different spatial indexing tech. Number two, in space, projectiles tick, which means they move in a direction with a velocity and they collide with another object. On the ground, you can't dodge a rifle shot. In space, you can dodge a missile. Number three, since the game was written by different devs, some subtle things are different, like the coordinate system is not the same as the ground game. For example, the X, Z, Y, etc. Number four, Core 3, the engine that the ground game runs on, was not designed for ticks. We might be able to hack it, but it would be a nightmare. And as a joke, number five, in space, nobody can hear you scream. He continues, now all this said, it can be done. It's a lot more work than any of the current devs can afford to dedicate. I personally lack the drive, interest, passion to make the space game work. It was okay to me, but never inspired me. I'm an MMO guy, not an FPSer or 3D space kind of player. I would be happy to see a new special interest group form around JTL and the SWGEmu community if we can find a couple talented or passionate devs who would like to leverage our CI/CD pipelines, test, hosting, etc., then I'd be more than happy to help and support. No matter what happens, we are progressing towards 1.0. Just at this point, we do not see a path that includes full JTL emulation for it. We will hit the 1.0 milestone, no dates yet, and then launch a new server that will include ongoing content expansion and other things the new server community will be passionate about. We have numerous ideas in this direction, and for me personally, this is more interesting than waiting 5 more years while we try to reverse engineer more of JTL. Now, of course, these forum threads are still ongoing discussions, which you can get to. I'm going to put a link in the video description for them. There's more than one now. Vlada actually, he posted here, look on the bright side, without JTL, 1.0 is much, much, much closer now, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But he also made a second forum thread that has all of the staff quotes and some of the questions asked by people in that other thread, more condensed to make it easier for people that don't want to read through a multi-page forum thread. So links to both of these threads are going to be down below if you want to check them out yourself. So there we have it. Apparently, the decision to wrap up the ground content and launch SWGEmu version 1.0 before finishing JTL has been in discussion for months amongst the staff. Now, while an official announcement on this change has not yet been made, it seems pretty likely that this is the route the team is going to take, especially with Vlada saying 101%. Now, I did speak with Lord Cater on Discord for a little bit today, and he wants to let everyone know that even the staff are not sure exactly what the future holds for the Basilisk server. They know it's ultimately a test server, but despite its flaws, it does hold a lot of history that's both valuable to not only the community, but the staff as well. Lord Cater wants me to stress that nothing will happen to Basilisk without a ton of communication up front from the staff, both on the forums and in-game. Measures have been taken to be sure that everyone will know about any major changes well in advance, so don't worry. But for the sake of discussion, let's assume, and I'm putting a big stress on the word assume, that things go the way they look like they're currently going. What does that mean? Well, it means quite a few things, actually. It means that version 1.0 is going to come a lot sooner, TM, than we've been expecting. With JTL no longer being included in 1.0, that leaves very little left to ground content-wise before the game's actually finished. Currently, the only ground game missing really is the Imperial Crackdown, which, to my understanding, required quite an overhaul of the existing AI behavior code. I know some progress on this has been made, but I personally am not positive just how much is left to do there. After that, though, besides like some minor adjustments, tweaks, bug fixes, I really can't think of any major additions that need to be made. And that brings us to the bittersweet part. As many of you know, with 1.0 comes the ever-looming Basilisk wipe and creation of the permanent Sun Crusher server. This is sure to have a handful of people up in arms as they're, attached to the stuff they have on Basilisk and maybe thought they had much longer time to play there before having to start over on Sun Crusher. Believe me, I get it, and it's a perfectly reasonable response. But as I said earlier, consider what positives this change can bring. The most obvious positive I can think of is the countless number of players who will come flocking to Sun Crusher once it goes live. As someone who frequents the SWGEmu subreddit, I can't even begin to tell you how many potential players I've seen turn away from Basilisk just because they know it's going to wipe sometime in the future. Knowing that Sun Crusher is an official play server with no planned wipes will, without a doubt, boost server population to unprecedented heights. Another awesome thing to consider is the experience of playing on a new server. I've talked about this quite a bit in my live streams in the past, but if a new player joins the Basilisk server currently, it's not hard for a more experienced player to just tip them a few 100,000 credits right out of the gate, get them a grind quality mini suit, a composite armor, a whole crate of swoops, and have them mastering professions within the first couple hours of playing. If anyone watched my little social experiment last year, the Swipe Guild, where a group of players decided to start a guild using completely new tunes that would play without any outside influence or interaction, kind of emulating what it would be like to be playing on a brand new server, you'll know that it is a completely different experience. Sharing that experience with a huge population of new players is honestly, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us, and I'm really excited for it. It also opens the door for many people to become server first for a lot of things, or even just a server-wide known name. If you've ever wanted to become the server's best weapon or armor smith, but thought maybe the Basilisk market was already cornered by people who have been playing and crafting for years, well, playing after a wipe gives you that chance. Getting 1.0 in Suncrusher also means that SWGEmu's goal of a perfect live SWG version 14.1 emulation is no longer a thing. We'll start to see quality of life changes or balance changes or flat out new additions to the game, like a revamped player bounty hunter system or new weapons and armor, or vehicles, or even player housing. The sky is literally the limit on what can come, and all the new additions can be discussed by the community on the forums. Now, I'm sure there are many other reasons to be excited for a wipe, but at the end of the day, the most important thing to realize is that nothing anyone does in an online game is forever. I can't even imagine how many hours I've spent playing countless Call of Duty games over the years, and all of those unlocks and prestige levels I've earned, they don't carry with me over to the next game. Like, those are gone. The same goes for SWG, just like any other online game. While it may be satisfying to someday become a full temp Jedi, or finally craft that perfect RIS armor, or even wrestle control of the Acklay away from a rival guild, when it's all said and done, it's just an online game. These things come and go all the time. You can't get too attached to anything in them. What's more important are the experiences and relationships that you have while playing, and no wipe can ever take those away from you once you have them. Keep in mind, we still have no idea when this is going to happen. My guess is that we still have months, possibly years even, before the staff is ready to wrap everything up and move on. Even once the AI rewrite is done, it's still going to need to be tested on Basilisk, so it's really impossible for anybody to come up with any relevant ETA on any of this. However, Lord Cater and I did talk about sitting down and actually having a formal interview sometime next month. We'll talk about things like the future of the project, timelines, short-term goals, long-term goals, and, honestly just pick his brain a little bit about, what's going on with the project. I've done interviews in the past with community members, but never with someone from staff, so I'm really excited for it, and I think it'll be really insightful for the community as a whole. If anyone has any questions they'd like me to ask Lord Cater in our interview next month, feel free to leave a comment down below, or hit me up in Discord, and if I think it's a valid question, I'll add it to my list of things to ask. Also, as mentioned in the forum thread, the team is looking for people with specific skills to help work on JTL, so I'll include a link to the video description for the staff application page if you or someone you know might be interested in making JTL a thing, and you think that you have the skills that can do it. I'm sure the staff would be willing to have as much help as they can get. Ultimately, I think this is a good idea. With the recent launch of WoW Classic and the idea of releasing a game in its vanilla state and then adding the old expansion packs to it over time, I honestly think that this almost gives us like an SWG Classic feel. We'll get the ground game, not necessarily as it was at launch, because it's going to be version 14.1, but we'll get it without jump to light speed, which hopefully by then a small group of people have been assembled to work specifically on jump to light speed. And then maybe a year or 2, 3, however long it takes after 1.0 comes out, we get jump to light speed as an expansion to the emulator, just like we got it as an expansion to Galaxies when we played it live. I think that's fine. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to having that new server experience with so many people. I'm looking forward to just having the slate reset, everybody, start fresh. I'm really excited for this. I think it is, like I said, ultimately the right way to go. I think it'll breathe new life into the project, bring more people together, and maybe bring out some more volunteers to help make things even better. I'm going to say this for a third time in this video, just so the message is crystal clear, that at this time there is no guarantee as to what's going to happen. This decision is not final. Until the staff come out with an actual announcement, This could all mean nothing. That being said, definitely stay tuned to the channel, especially next month for that interview with Lord Cater. I'm sure whatever comes out of that will be very enlightening. So that's about it. I can't wait to read everybody's thoughts in the comments, so please feel free to share. I'll do my best to read and reply to all of them. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys for watching. Mobius1 here, and I'll see you next time.